Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Engineer Kamilu, and I'll be your host for today's webinar series. And while we are waiting for our moderators and other guest speakers, we would like to welcome everybody to this seminar. Let me use this opportunity to introduce our moderator for today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, sir, thank you, Engineer Kamilu, for the welcome. Yes, I said it's such a pleasure to welcome everyone to today's webinar. I would like that we mute our mics as if you're not talking. This is a series that is jointly organized by the Nigerian Institution of Electrical and Electronics Engineers (NIEEE) Bauchi chapter in collaboration with Thinky and on the circuit, harnessing energy technology and relevance. We're excited to have everyone here. From what I've heard, we have a lot of final year in electrical engineering students here and other young professionals. So to kick us off, let's have Engineer Kamilu. Can we have our reactions? Clap for him. Let's welcome him. Yes, yes, I can see some reactions. Floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Sonolua. You are now one of our meeting hosts, so you can now share your screen freely. I want to appreciate everyone for joining this webinar series. We are targeting our final year students, and at the same time, we want every engineering personnel to also join us. We need all our experiences, and we like to rub minds with everybody. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to share our minds with everybody concerning the issue at hand with regards to final year students. We have two experts in-house that are going to help us today, Dr. Salisu and Engineer Sulaiman. They are both based in the UK. And as you can see, they are both, I don't know to say gender, but they are both female. What that making me believe in excellence, and where we get two seasoned scholars in our field.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this session today. Pending when Etunu is back, I will just take the moderation from here. So thank you for joining us for this very important session. Thank you to our host, Engineer Dr. Kamilu Lafemi Lawal, and also to two of our very special guests, Dr. Azizat Sholagbadigesi and Engineer Zafirah Suleiman, who are here with us. We thank you very much for your time, and we are grateful for making our time to be here with us. We will go straight into the very important session of today, which is beyond the circuit, harnessing energy, technology, and innovation for global relevance. And as you can see, this topic is so timely because now we're in an age where beyond what you learn in school, the world now demands so much more from you. And these skills that the world demands from you are usually beyond the four walls of the classroom. So permit me to welcome Dr. Azizat Badigeshi to begin the session. Over to you, ma. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Engineer Chimubi. Good evening again, everyone. Please just give a second or two to share screen, and then we can roll off.
All right, before she shares her screen, let me do the honors of introducing her properly through her bio. Dr. Azizat holds her undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in electrical and electronics engineering from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and the University of Johannesburg, South Africa. She worked in the oil and gas sector in both Nigeria and the United Kingdom, at the start of her career, then transitioned to focus on the power and sustainable energy sector. In her work across various cities, Dr. Azizat has been instrumental in working with cities to develop sustainable pathways to improve energy access, designing energy projects, facilitating deep engagement with stakeholders from the public and private sectors, and developing project concept notes and proposals to attract funding. She also provides technical support on energy initiatives and builds the capacity of city staff to tackle energy and climate change challenges effectively. Dr. Azizat is an alumni of the US government exchange program Tech Women and as a mentor for the African Women in Energy Development Initiative and the Chevening Transforming Energy Access Scholarship Program. You're welcome, Ma. Over to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, everyone. And thanks for taking time out to join us this Friday evening. I hope the week was good. My name is Azizat Shalagbadigeshi, and I'm here to join Thinking Hearts and the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and to share a few thoughts about life after graduation, what it is like in the outside world out there, and what final year students in the electrical and engineering department can prepare for when they go outside the school and they are now getting ready to what life is like about outside. So basically, I'll be talking around employment and entrepreneurship outside the four walls of the school. What are the options for graduates as they step out into the outside world, especially for electrical engineering graduates? And then my dear colleague and sister Zafirah would also touch on a few aspects relating to energy and innovation and the future of the electrical engineering. So yeah, I'd like to start off with a few thoughts about looking at how the world has been changing. Back in like the early 2000s, thereabouts. Technology was all about. When we're looking at the focus of technology, we had power generation basically from fossil fuels. We had hydro. We had the thermal plants that have been around. Like in Nigeria, some of those thermal plants have been around for ages, right? But now in the 2020s, 2021s, especially within Nigeria, though may have been, more advancement in other countries, then we're looking at other options. We're looking at renewable energy. Can we use solar to power? Where can we harness wind speeds to generate electricity? So there are a lot more options. We're also looking at storage, not just battery storage, but we're looking at hydrogen fuel cells and electrolyzers. We're looking at different lithium-ion batteries, a whole range of technologies. There's always some innovation. Then if we're looking at engineering tools that we used to use earlier, that's like about 20, 25 years ago. There was MATLAB, there was, AutoCAD, but these have also evolved. Now you have, MATLAB Simulink, you have ETAP, you have a whole number of, tools that can be used by engineers, either in school or as they graduate and they're actually delivering projects within the community. Then the work environment too. The typical engineer was, working in, if it was electrical engineer, you could say, you're working in NEPA, or you're working in as the maintenance manager in an engineering firm, or in maybe a hospital. You have the facilities manager who's in charge of making sure that the generator runs and all that. So a lot of things have evolved over the years. The engineering profession has really evolved. Technology has changed a lot of things. So basically, even the mindset of people has changed. Then it was basically you finish school, get a job immediately. You get a job, you're continuing that career path. You're doing the same thing for the next 20, 25, 30, 35 years of your life, and then you retire. Nowadays, things are a whole lot different. Even if you decide to go into employment, you might start out as maybe an electrical engineer, branch into networking, branch into security. Before you know it, you're working in a bank doing other things. So, a lot of things have changed over time. And basically, as an engineer, you really need to just be prepared for what the next steps are going to be. How do you position yourself in a place? Either you're in Nigeria or you're, working somewhere else outside the shores of the country. How do you position yourself to be able to, deliver and address societal challenges, which is basically what engineers are supposed to do. We are there to address societal challenges and find solutions to some of the problems that the society is basically facing. So yeah, basically summarizing it, that previous slide is about how the engineering landscape is changing. There's a lot of automation, things are going digital. You hardly find the resources or tools that are still the manual operations and all that. A lot of things have gone digital. The energy transition is there too. You're no longer focusing so much on thermal, like thermal power plants. You're now looking at renewable power plants. You're looking at solar power. You're looking at different storage systems. You're looking at optimizing storage systems. There's a whole array of how an engineer in the 2000s has to upskill, or things have changed. So there are new technologies that we're preparing for. And this obviously, even in 2025, this is going to be the last technology. There will always be more technologies. There will always be more innovations to prepare for as an engineer working in industry. Employers as well, when an organization employs you, they're not going to just look at your certificate. Oh, congratulations, you have a degree in electrical engineering from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. Okay, you're welcome to organization. No, it just doesn't end there. There's a lot more that will be expected from you, and we're going to touch on those briefly. Then thirdly, fine, you finished from a Nigerian university, but that is just the beginning of your career. There are a lot of opportunities out there within Nigeria, outside Nigeria. So you have to position yourself in a way where you're not just looking at Nigerian challenges, which they're also similar to global challenges. It's not only in Nigeria that, for instance, maybe there are issues with power, or there are issues with healthcare systems, or there are issues with how things operate. Some of these challenges are global, and that also offers opportunities, very huge opportunities for a Nigerian engineer. It expands your horizon, it expands the opportunities that are there for you as you move on in your career. So looking at two routes, which, as I mentioned, like the core of this session, we're looking at two routes after graduation. So you have your degree, right? You have a few skills, you have some experience, you've graduated from school. You've graduated and you have the skills. Some of them were learned probably while you were on IT, like your year 4, you had gone for industrial training under COS. You still have some skills from there. There are some who, while we're in school, you have colleagues or you had classmates who are working already. So even before finish school, they already have some experience. So those degrees, those skills, those experiences, those are the things that will help you in charting a path or providing the skill sets or the things that you need. Either you're going into employment or you're going into entrepreneurship. If you're going into employment, you've already finished, so you already have your degree. There are skills you need, there are experiences you need that will help you while you're working for an organization. Similarly, if you're going into entrepreneurship, your skills and your experiences will be beneficial as you go on. So yes, I'll just touch on a few of those skills that are digital skills, that are technical skills, particular to an engineering or an electrical engineering graduate. For instance, as I mentioned, the power systems have evolved from hydro systems, and thermal power plants. They're evolving into more of renewable energy technology. So you're transitioning from core power has to bring in some level of innovation, some level of additional technologies and technical digital skills. Looking at electronics, for instance, you might have graduated from just using resistors and capacitors that are like this big, to using ICs, Arduino kits, and a number of newer technologies that are available in the electronic space. A lot has happened as well in terms of robotics, control systems, in terms of coding, data analytics programming. That has more or less been like everybody needs to have at least know one, programming language or the other, know how to be able to present data or analyze data and work with data that you have. If you're looking at cybersecurity, for instance, cybersecurity, maybe a concern back then was more of, okay, we need cybersecurity when we're dealing with financial institutions, organizations, data. But now, even in power systems, there's significant input from cybersecurity to ensure that maybe a nation's power system, for instance, won't be brought down by hackers trying to bring down the country's power system, or how can you make the power systems more reliable and more and safer from attacks online, because now we are moving to more digital power systems compared to the manual ones. Same thing goes with simulation tools that have evolved and are more common now. Also collaboration tools. Now we are working in an organization where we are not just working on Microsoft Excel and Word and all that, but you need to set up collaborative tools, maybe Google Docs or any other platforms on Google or on Microsoft Teams or something, where you'll be collaborating across disciplines, collaborating probably even across countries in getting your work delivered in the organization you're working with. But then, of course, for anybody who, as I mentioned, either going into paid employment, working for an organization that is established already, or you're looking into entrepreneurship, there are also some soft skills that you need to have. Looking at those soft skills, you must be able to present whatever is in your head, either orally, in writing, or visually. So orally, you need to make a presentation. As an engineer, you had this fantastic idea of how this wonderful system is going to solve all of the world's problems. But then how do you get the idea out of your head? How do you get it onto paper? How do you present it to someone who is maybe a bit of a layman and doesn't understand all the waves that you're seeing and all the dy dx? How does all that translate into something that somebody who maybe has an interest in that project will be able to understand? So you need to be able to communicate orally. You need to be able to communicate in writing. If you need to write a proposal, for instance, to an organization that's going to fund your very innovative idea and solution to the world's problems, you need to be able to put that in writing. Also visually, nobody's going to sit down and read like a 360-page manual or something about your invention or what innovative things that you have developed. Sorry. So you need to be able to present visually as well. Sorry, somebody's mic is on. Okay, thank you. So another skill that you need to work on is around collaboration and teamwork. As I mentioned, most times you will probably not be working alone. You will be working in a team. Even as an entrepreneur, either in an organization, you will have teammates within your startup, for instance, that you trade ideas with, you're solving problems. You need to be able to work very well with the team. Then you also need to solve problems and think critically. So not just taking maybe the data that you gather at face value, that okay, there are 40 businesses within my community that do not have access to electricity. But you need to then start thinking a bit more critically. Okay, why don't they have access to electricity? What could be the reasons why there's no access to electricity? Are they okay with running on generators? Do they make enough money? How else can they, just begin to think around how you can improve like whatever solution that you have proposed. Then also, I guess a number of you might have had experiences relating to leadership. It starts from little things like, running, sorry, not little things, but I mean like running the classroom, for instance, that's already a leadership position. Running maybe the student chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, that is also a leadership role. So any role where you get to work with people and you're the one chatting, because it's not necessarily like you have the best ideas, but it's basically about managing people, learning, being able to work with people to get the best out of them, and taking or making the best use of individual skills in getting towards a goal that you're all working on. Then there's also project management. I don't know if there's anything that's executed without a project manager being on board. So for an engineer who also has project management skills, that is also extra useful, because then you have the leverage, or especially if it's in a technical job, for instance, you have the leverage of your technical background. Then you have the project management skills, and they're able to manage resources. Able to manage people. You're able to manage your time, so that a 6-month project, for instance, you know that these are the milestones that you want to meet, and you're able to work around meeting them. You know how much budget you have. You're able to manage your budget and prioritize what needs to be done to achieve the goal that you set out for at the beginning of that project. And then another soft skill, especially, okay, yeah, well, let me say, especially if you're looking at a global scene, which is what I would advise, because it's not about Japa, or you want to relocate, but even if you're based here, you need to be aware of what's happening around you, what's happening in other countries. How are they taking issues around improving energy access? Okay, fine, some countries are going into 100% renewables. Some countries, on the other hand, they're saying, okay, no, we've had enough of renewables. We don't think it's going to be beneficial. We'll rather go back to coal, or we'll go back to heavy fuel oils or whatever to generate electricity. Or it could be that they're looking at nuclear sources. So you need to always be constantly aware of what's happening around you, what new technologies are evolving, how are other nations and countries solving their own, it could be environmental challenges or health challenges, whatever is happening. How are other countries, or how are other engineers bringing out innovative ideas to address some of these things? And closely tied to that is also cultural intelligence. We all have our cultures, we all have our preferences, and there are just some things that would just not fly in some countries, because, okay, don't let me say it would just not fly, but in some communities, you might have a very innovative, beautiful idea. You've run your prototype, it runs. But they just decide that, man, there is no way I'm going to eat food made from gas. For instance, let's say you develop a biogas plant from animal waste. But there are just some people who will tell you that, no, there's no way that they're going to, use biogas from gas, or rather use biogas where they know it was made from animal poop or some other waste material, that there's just no way there's going to do that. So you have to be aware of the preferences of users, and see how you can accommodate their cultural preferences with the innovations that you are also developing. Okay, so then maybe some final suggestions around different routes that fresh graduates can take. So we've talked about the technical skills that you need to have, right? I've mentioned a few soft skills that would also be in your favor. But then looking at the different routes that you want to take, either you want to go into employment or you want to go into entrepreneurship. If you're thinking of going into employment, one, you need to work around building your personal and professional networks. Let me say it in the layman's, or in more of like with the Nigerian slang. The personal networks are your man, no man. Who do you know that can get you into the right places? Leverage on them. Keep in touch with that uncle. Find that, your village man's best friend who runs an organization where you want to learn and grow in your career. Reach out to your professional networks, Institute of Electrical Engineers, Nigerian Society of Engineers, any institute of IEEE, for instance, if there's a local chapter within your community, reach out to those networks, work with those networks. In terms of employment, look at opportunities with multinational organizations. Some of them have graduate programs that they bring out, like adverts or notices for graduates to come and take part of. I think NNPC used to do, I'm not sure if they still do it. I think Dangote, for instance, also does things like that. So either locally or internationally, you can join a graduate program. The good side about some graduate programs is if it helps to build like a career path, especially like a fresh graduate, you don't have much experience, you're trying to find your feet around the sector. Do you even want to go into power? Do you want to go into electronics? Do you want to go into IoT? Do you want to go into networking? Working with organizations helps you, usually offers a wider array of choices, and then maybe if you work in this department for a while, you can find out that by working with other departments, you're also interested in one or two other things. Then there are also professional certifications you can start taking early on in your career. Are you looking into networking, the Cisco, CCNA, CCNP, CCIE? If you are looking into cybersecurity, there are also certifications, information system security professional. There are a number of certifications in different areas that you could explore and get towards improving your chances of getting employment. Then there are also engineering communities, competitions that you can take part of. NSC, either locally or globally. NSC has some IEEE. We also have some communities that you can be part of. Then you can look out for opportunities for internship, for exchange programs, for fellowships, anything that, especially if they're favoring like graduates, there are some opportunities there as well. Then as you've grown a bit in your career, you have some skills, you have some experiences that you can use the word monetize, make some money from some of your skills. You know a coding program very well. You can get access to some remote jobs and do some of those jobs, get a contract and do that either full-time or by the side, depending on what kind of contracts that you get. Then the second route I mentioned is about entrepreneurship. Why entrepreneurship is because, one, I think it does give you a bit of a leverage of the things that you can try and things that you can do. You have some wonderful ideas, but if you're working for an organization, you might not have time to explore those ideas as much as possible. So with entrepreneurship, you are not you're not taking your CV around looking from place to place. You're actually creating a job for yourself or for your team of innovators as well. Or for anybody else. It could also be a ripple effect beyond your team, those who you're buying products or whose services that you also need to develop your idea. There are also some of those who you're indirectly providing jobs, providing a means of income for their entrepreneurship journey. Then as an entrepreneur, especially in Nigeria, I don't want to say like there are many challenges because it's not just in Nigeria, but there's still some challenges around energy access. There's still challenges around mobility. Fine. There's Uber, there are all those apps, but what if there is something better than that? What if, for instance, like in other more developed countries, you have an app where, or maybe you have like a chart. They are not digital. You have like a chart where when next the public transport is going to come. So this eliminates the issue, for instance, of having to wait for a while, maybe at a bus stop, or maybe that does. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't apply in the context of Bauchi. But for instance, in Lagos, where there are so many more people, waiting at the bus stops at the close of work, it could be an advantage if people are aware of when the bus times are. So rather than everybody coming to stay by the bus stop at 5 o'clock, some could come at 5 o'clock, some could come at 5:15, or just stagger the exit from workplaces. Hopefully that could ease traffic. There are multiplier effects around some innovative apps or that solve current issues. Yeah, and then whatever you're developing from Nigeria, just also have the mindset that, oh, this might not only be useful in the Nigerian context, it's something that could also be used globally in other places, rather could also be used in other countries around the globe. Sorry, I'm just checking for time. I seem to have been going a bit overboard with time. So I think this is the second to the last one thereabouts. So I'll just wrap up with, now you have that engineering knowledge. If you decide you want to go, the entrepreneurship route, what are some of the things that you could do to guide that process? So identify what the problems are in the society. Are there problems with transportation? Are there problems with access to financial services? I mean, the problem for financial services, for instance, OPay, Money Point, all those organizations running those apps now, they identified that there was a gap, that there was still a high population of Nigerians who didn't have access to financial services, who couldn't put their money in a bank for whatever reason, who couldn't transfer money around. So by providing simple solutions to maybe just a group of people who don't have access to those services, you are also solving one of the problems within society. So once you've identified that problem, you begin to develop the prototypes. What could work? What can't work within the context? Where do we get resources from locally, or do we need to bring things from other countries to be able to work with this product? Then develop a product. Test that product. You refine it, get a few people to help you use it again. Then you refine it again. So that cycle keeps going on and on until you have something that you're ready to pitch to investors or to share with research institutions or whoever, whichever organization that can help you scale this. And, of course, there's also the issue around intellectual property that you have to be keep abreast of. And then you can go on towards, before you know it, you're an innovator, you've developed something, and you're making things happen as well. So there are a number of platforms for you to explore. There are incubators, there are accelerators. I think the federal government also has something for around digitalization. I'm not really sure, but I think there's also some national government projects running around digitalization. There are networking platforms that you can explore what's happening on LinkedIn, what is maybe IEEE in India saying, do they have a competition open? Does Nigeria Academy of Engineering or some other organization or the other have some competitions or a platform where young graduates, fresh graduates can take part in those competitions and give them that international exposure, or local or international exposure that would help them in their careers. So in summary, a few things that you can look at: start building your skill portfolio. I've talked about the technical skills and the soft skills. Look at how you can get mentors or professional networks. Mentors would not just necessarily be working on the road waiting for someone to reach out to them, but if you identify people within a field that you're interested in, reach out to them and get in touch with them if possible. The worst they can say is no, right? So it's worth taking your shots and seeing if you can reach them. One way to also get mentors is through your professional networks. The NSC, for instance, has a chapter meeting. Try and attend, be more active within the sector that you're looking at working in. And then if you're going the entrepreneurial route, don't wait for the perfect idea. Whatever you have that you can start building, start it. As you work on it, as you keep refining, remember the process. You test with users, you refine. As you keep testing and refining and testing and refining, before you know it, you might have a wonderfully like substantial and significant products that can solve one or two challenges for people within or outside the country. And yeah, as they say, think global but act local. Start with your immediate surroundings, find what you can offer as solutions to some of the challenges, and then see how this can be applied globally as well. Okay, thank you very much. I'll hand over to the moderator now for the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. Can we give her a round of applause? Can we give her a virtual digital round of applause? Thank you very much, Ma, for that presentation. I hope that we are writing a lot. That presentation was very detailed. She highlighted She highlighted that challenges in Nigeria are not just obstacles, but they are also opportunities for young engineers. She highlighted the fact that global relevance is beyond technical skills and your technical knowledge. You need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to relate to people. She emphasized the importance of, I love the reactions. She emphasized the importance of knowledge and exposure. Put yourself out there. You don't need to get the clear picture before you start. That was very detailed. More round of applause. Thank you very much, Ma. My network had issues, and thank you, Dr. Chima, for standing in for me. Welcome everyone that wasn't here at the beginning. I hope that you're enjoying the session so far, and I hope that we all hear me. So to take us back, the title for this session is Beyond the Circuit: Harnessing Energy Technology and Innovation for Global Relevance. It's a collaboration between the NIEEE Bauchi chapter and Thinky Hearts. Our agenda so far is we had the welcome address. We had, Dr. Chimaobi, Engineer Chimaobi, introduce the speaker and read out their bios to us. We've had Dr. Azizat speak to us, and up next we'll have Engineer Zafirah speak to us. Engineer Chimaobi already read out our bio, but you can just take a look at the screen while she gets ready to come up. Engineer Zafira, please, if you're here, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
That's nice.
So you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Azizat, for that very, I would say, well-packed presentation. It was pretty interesting. I also had some things that I could relate to when she was talking. So basically, she has covered, all the basics, the things you need to know after you graduate. But what I'm going to talk to you guys about is just more like giving you an experience point of view. So telling you about my own story, and then as well as some other, stories that I might refer to. So there are two key points within this that I will discuss: is Nigerians and the energy future for Nigeria and globally, and then as well as industry readiness. So I'll just, jump right into it. I don't know if you guys would believe me, but a couple of years back, if I had followed the path that I was following, I would have been a pharmacist. So that being said, is that I wanted to follow the path of my parents and everything. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me now, I applied. I didn't get pharmacy. I was very interested in the field and I wanted to become a pharmacist. But I eventually ended up becoming an electrical engineer. And also, just like you guys, just like how you're about finishing. How I got myself ready for the industry was that, for me, just as Azizat has said, you need to prepare yourself, position yourself well, and all of that. But I want to let you know that it starts from within. It starts from the university. University is even the easiest place for you to position yourself to either become an entrepreneur or become someone who works in the industry, because the university kind of gives you an opportunity to, fail, and get the opportunity or get feedback and everything, and you have like a very safe space in the university. Unlike when you come out there and you're hustling, you're trying to look for jobs, you're trying to do things, and it can be chaotic. But being in the university now, for me, that was like my own first step. I started my IT. A lot of people preparing themselves to go for IT and maybe get into a company that will be paying them a lot of money and all of that. But I went for my IT. I did my IT at NEPA. Formerly, it was PHCN. I think NEPA, PHCN, and eventually the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, because I did mine in Abuja. Even though now the discos are all separated, we have different discos for different states. So I did that, and when I was doing my IT in NEPA, it was like everyone told me that, oh, why are you doing your IT in NEPA? They don't pay, they don't give you anything, what are you going to learn from there and all of that? And I'm like, I'm going to go there. I've seen something that has kicked my interest in engineering, and I felt like, okay, let me just go ahead. So I went there, I showed up, showed myself, talked to my line managers then. Funny enough, I was the only girl in engineering in NEPA at that time. So I just told them that I want to learn. They told me themselves that if I wanted to give them my logbook, they will fill my logbook for me, and then I can go home. I can go home and enjoy my IT. And I told them no, that I want to learn. So every single site that we went to, I went to different sites within Abuja, outside Abuja, and all that did for me, it gave me the opportunity to understand or to match my, theory with my practical. Because in school, we get to teach, theory, and most times people don't understand why their circuit is like this, or what is required for their power systems. Why are we reading a lot of Kirchhoff's law? What does that do for us? But by the time I went to AEDC, and then I was taught, what this means, what the transformer is, how you test transformers, a lot of things. That just gave me, more ground and more understanding on where it is that I want to be, or where my focus is supposed to be. And then from there, I came back after my IT, right? And I went back to NEPA again to make sure that I served there. For me, it wasn't enough. I knew that I had learned something when it was during my IT, and I just didn't feel like it was enough for me. So I went back, after my university, after I graduated, immediately my NYSC, I tried to make sure that I think it was my uncle, it wasn't even my parents, that I need to get there, I need to go back, I need to meet those people that I met before, because they really gave me, the best ground for me to start. And that's how I hit the ground running. My experience started from the university. It did not start when I came out of university. So I just want you to know that part of the things you need to understand now is, even though you're graduating, I believe you guys have projects, amazing projects that you're going to, come up with, you're going to deliver and everything. Try as much as possible to see if you can publish it in a local journal, or you can just make something out of your project. Let it be a project that is trying to solve a problem for you within your environment. A problem as little as I'm not sure I have the exact match or description for it, but it should be a very small, simple problem. And when you put it together over time, you can build on it when you leave, the university. But your project, your lecturers, all of them are there to guide you in this. So if you find something that you're interested in, you can start it as soon as possible. You don't even have to wait until you get out or until you graduate. And that's kind of how I got myself industry ready. I feel like I already knew from the university that I was going to work in the energy sector. I had the interest in power systems, and then I just felt like that would be a space for me to thrive and a space for me to grow. Fast forward to a few years later, I volunteered after working for free in AEDC. I still volunteered again for another a year plus or two in an engineering company. There I learned some, hands-on project experience. These are the things that Azizat mentioned. Some project experience, learning how to solve problem, being on site, seeing what is happening physically, and encountering problem and being able to quickly, solve those problems as a team. So all those things are very key for you to get you industry ready. And before you know it, once it comes, then you are ready. It's not like when the opportunity comes, you start to get ready or you start to think about it, you start to panic. But it's a process. There is no, I would say there's no easy way to it. I just want you to know that. And you need to put that at the back of your mind, that it's not going to be just a walk in the park, but you need to motivate yourself even when you don't feel motivated. You need to encourage yourself even when you don't feel encouraged, but just know that it is worth it in the end. It is just, imagine being in a room, where your idea is being taken and being seen to do one thing or the other, do great things for people. That is just, it's so fulfilling that there's nothing that you can compare it with. I want to tell you just a very short story about a friend of mine. He told me that when he was about leaving the university, he used his own final year project. And what his final year project was called, it was called UpNepa. Basically, what he wanted to do was to let the people in class know that there's light in the hostel, so people can go and charge their phones and everything. So what he did was he designed, I think, an app or something that would let people know and send them a message when there is light. And now UpNepa has become a company right now that is no more named UpNepa, it's called Electra. And now they've started to use it for energy management, for, asset management, and for, metering purposes. So there is just a lot you can do, here. Don't just feel like, okay, I'm in school and maybe there's nothing I can do and there's nothing I can put my hands into and nothing would work or something. You have the best of teachers in ATBU. You have the best of people, around you. This is an opportunity for you to take this and run with it whichever way you want. And just as Aziza said, there is the thing where the technology is, AI is coming, the new technology, everything is going, it's changing. So you have the opportunity now. Courses are even free. You have the opportunity to go and just look at whatever course you need to develop yourself and run with it. Also, you don't have to wait on okay, I need to get money now, or I need to do this. Some of these courses, you might not have certificates for them, but you can quickly go and learn these skills and start to apply it immediately. Learn the skill set to apply it to your project. If you think of a very wild idea on your project, find out what skills that you need to learn to pick it. Some programming languages and codes and everything, they're all open source. So there is no limit to what you can achieve. And then the next point is Nigeria's energy future. So I feel like it's a key place and a key position for everyone to tap in. Right now, there is different things coming in, both Nigeria and Africa. There is information about, renewable energy, just as Aziza mentioned, other energy solutions. We have wind, we have biomass, and then, these are things that are upcoming. Nigeria's renewable energy sector is still very young, and we're looking for how we can, get more people into this sector. And you can come in in any capacity. As engineers, I used to say this thing, which is, I would say, a little bit biased or something. I feel like engineers are able to learn other courses, but other courses, let's say, take for example, someone who did, maybe social sciences and will find it difficult to learn engineering courses, and that's just the way it is. But as an engineer, you can become a project engineer. You can go into software. You can go into IT. You can go into the direction that you can be is endless. So I want to give you this encouragement and give you this opportunity coming from myself and my own story, that you can do it. There's nothing, that you put your mind to that you can't do. And now with the challenges of energy that we have in Nigeria, the opportunities maybe to develop, affordable, maybe smart metering and just little things that would put you, put your own mark in the sector, because the sector is really small. So you can even choose to do policy. There very few people are into policy, and then if you come and you're trying to translate a policy document or a policy requirement to like maybe a group of people in like a local area or something, if you're able to do that, if you're able to make life easy for them, or take for example, you make an app that tells any local the next either bus station or the next train station or the next stop where they might get some of their goods, or maybe a market or something, and then the nearest market close to them, something like that. Very little things that would solve the little problems within your local community, while thinking globally, and how you can turn this thing into something else, as well as making it work for you and getting money and all the recognition that you need. It's possible. So I think for me, I would say these are the two key things I want to let you know. Industry readiness starts now. It doesn't start when you finish. Don't let anybody tell you it was when you graduate or something. No, it starts now. It starts immediately. And then for you, the energy future in Nigeria is big. A lot of ideas are coming in. Some of the ideas we will not take, obviously, because it might not work for Nigeria, but a lot of things are coming in, and you can tap into it at any capacity. Even energy law, like there is nothing, there is nothing as an electrical engineer or engineering in general, there isn't anything that you can't do. Because for you now, imagine someone else telling you about energy law, but you are the one who knows the ins and outs of the electricity, whatever has to do with it, it. So what laws or policies or regulations that would make sense, you can be the one to decide it. Why wait for someone else? Why wait for someone in another in another field to tell you the best thing about your own field? It is for you to do. And yes, and then the next one is, I just want you to know that there will be challenges. There's challenges to expect when you're doing a lot of things. So basically, Azizat has mentioned about like different funds you can access, different opportunities and all, but just know that some of them don't come immediately. But you shouldn't stop learning. You shouldn't stop upskilling yourself, because now to upskill is free. Honestly, so you shouldn't stop upskilling yourself while on the side you're trying to either look for fundings, look for scholarships, look for grants, look for opportunity for partnership or for mentorship, anything. Just look for very low cost but high wins, things that you can do for yourself. You can upskill while making sure that you're keeping in touch with all the necessary people you need to keep in touch with, as well as applying for the necessary opportunities. Some would come immediately, some would not come immediately, but you just need to know that you are doing something on the side, as well as making sure that your mind is there, is in the future. And then for my advice for you is like, problem solving is not like, you don't just think about yourself as someone who is just solving problems. Think about yourself as don't think about yourself as someone who is just wanting to look for jobs and everything. Think of yourself as a problem solver, as a solution provider, as as a leader, as an entrepreneur. Just think of yourself as whatever it is that you want to achieve. You can think it. If you make sure that your mindset is focused on that, you can think it, you can believe it, you can make it happen. As Azizat has said, I will just reiterate this again: building your networks, checking out people who you think are like, you guys are similar, you have similar interests and everything, following up with them, seeing what they do. Like there's one thing that I usually see on, I think I've forgotten the platform though, but it's a platform for research. So like, I think some of these journals where you can find journals to use for your research, one of them says that it's like, what the journal itself tells you is that you're standing on the shoulders of giants. So basically it's telling you that this is giving you the opportunity to not just do this by yourself, but have other people that can push you through whatever it is that you need to be, you need to know. And that's like the easiest and the shortest way to get to your solutions. So I don't know what the time is saying. Itunu, please let me know if I'm still on time or if I have any, minutes left. But I think for now I've covered like the, key points regarding what we intended to let, people know. Just let me know if you have any, questions per se, or any comments or something. I could just, respond to your message. Itunu, please, over to you.
Yes, engineer Zafirah, you can still go ahead for about 5 to 6 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Oh, perfect. That's nice. So I hope what I'm saying kind of like makes sense and speaks to you from a more like, how will I say, more of my experience. So thank you for giving me extra time, but I also want to tell you something. So my story in, I would say, there's a place I've worked in, it's called GIZ. And I want to tell you my story about, I don't know if anyone knows GIZ, but I've worked in GIZ before, and that's where I met my very amazing, colleague Chimobi. So, but before I got to GIZ, I was trained by GIZ under 2 of their programs. So I was working, like where I was volunteering, I told you I volunteered for like 2 years. So where I was volunteering, I noticed that whenever we go to sites, a lot of people started to ask questions about renewable energy, like what is happening in renewable energy. If we put in, like, I'd go to site to install like transformers and everything. And then when we go to site to install transformers, they complaining that, oh, there's no light, but they're hearing about solar. Do we do solar and things like that? But the company I was volunteering for, they were not into solar. They were just more like service designs that they do, wiring for houses, as well as installation of power transformers. So, and some other electronics aspect. So we didn't have that. And I started to notice that every time we go to site, people are questioning, people are asking that question. And I told myself that, okay, I have the electrical engineering background. My focus was in power engineering. So when it comes to HV, generation, transmission, distribution, I know that's my specialty. So I felt like, why don't I just, add renewable energy to it? It's like, if I could combine the two, then fine. So I tried to search to look for opportunities for training, talk to people, and just see what's happening. And then GIZ was doing one of their flagship, programs. I think I was either the first or the second set. GIZ was doing one of their flagship program, and I got the opportunity to do solar PV installation and supervision. Immediately I finished doing the solar PV installation and supervision, I kept on talking to other people about, what were the next steps. I made some contacts in class, and then we just had, a quick chat. My contacts in class, they went further to do mini grid and micro hydro, and then they felt like, oh, I was, their friend in class, and they just sent me a message and saying that, okay, they've asked their people that are doing mini grid and micro hydro, and they're like, there's a slot open. Am I okay to come and join them in another class? And I got the opportunity, just from my friends in class, from the people I interacted with in the previous course, I got the opportunity to get another, scholarship to do the mini grid and micro hydro training. So before I got to GIZ, working in GIZ as a staff, I was already trained in GIZ on the two of their programs for solar PV and for mini grid and micro hydro. So, and that's how as time went by, I kept on, pivoting, kept on, checking, okay, what's happening in the industry? What are the things that I feel like I can do? What are the things that I feel like I can add to what I already have, making me, position myself for the opportunities that will come when they arise. So please do not sit down and say that, okay, I've just graduated and, NYC, and I already know that Nigerians, there's not going to be job waiting for me or something. There is, like, the world has gone past that. The world will leave you behind if you don't, put your mind together, put yourself together, and put yourself out there. The space is so wide. The industry is so big. The different careers that are, are coming up. There are a whole lot. So there is space for each and every one of you in your various capacities. And that's it for me. I hope I have, not confused you, but convinced you and encouraged you that this is just the beginning for you, and then the world is your playground. Thank you.
Oh my God. I hope we are giving a round of applause. Thank you very much, Engineer Zafira, for that insightful presentation. Your story was very, very inspiring. I'm sure it has helped a lot of us here. If you have questions, you can just keep them down there. It's a time for, questions. Thank you very much. You've emphasized how our future in our career doesn't start later. It starts now. It starts from the decision you take now, the decision you take while in school, whether it's internship, research projects. Just give your best wherever you find yourself. Position yourself for relevance. And I hope that we are all thinking of one step or the other that we are going to take now to help us in our careers in the future. Can we keep giving Engineer Zafira a round of applause? All right. Thank you, everyone. It shows that we're enjoying the session very well. And it shows that we are listening to. I hope that you have your notes down and you've taken down a lot. So now we're going to do something a bit different. I'd like everyone here to pause and think about your community. Maybe your street, your campus, your village, a city you visited once, and let's just pause and think about two challenges that we noticed, two energy challenges that we noticed around us. It could be a power supply, it could be access to clean water, transportation, waste management, it could be digital access, anything at all. Two challenges, you can write it in the chat box. So yes, please, let's write any challenge, and you can even give us a case study, the village, let's say something something in Bauchi state. The people of this village are currently having problems with this, and I suggest this. You don't know, you can meet someone that has an
Ah,
eye
c'est
for
en 16 mois. Wallahi.
um okay, you can meet someone that has an eye for the same challenge or has, you know, something innovative, and you can work on it together. So I'm waiting in the chat box. Let's just drop any challenge or anything that we've noticed in our community or in a place around us. Okay, I can see Ahmad Adam says that any moment there is a strong wind, we experience low current power supply for days. Interesting. That is interesting. You don't need to raise your hand, just type it in the chat box. Ahmad Adam, that's a very interesting challenge. Yeah, so we have just few minutes more to just interact, and then we'll have Doctor round up the session. Okay, so oh, these are a lot of challenges. Nura Barao says charging areas for phones and laptops. Okay, I think this is a solution to a problem. Powering of refrigerators by provision store and other hypermarkets. Interesting. And then Chuku Diebube says load shedding. The transformers in my area are overstretched. Wow. Aishatu says desertification. Musa Baba Usman says problem of low current in our area. Jacob Ban One Best says how to unite polytechnic students who don't think much on the technology to series. Why they were in love much on it. All right. Abdullah Salisu says greed, instability, and poor maintenance. I think that's that's a Nigerian problem, not even only a community problem. Everybody goes through the consequences of when the grid falls. Gribiel Ita says constant failure of transformers in Bauchi and Akwa Ibom State, transportation issues and charging issues. This shows that there are a lot of challenges. And from what our speakers have mentioned and from the conclusion of all they've said, these challenges should not be seen as challenges but as opportunities to, prefer solutions and make our community better. These are challenges, but there are also job opportunities, there are solutions, there are pitches. You can pick this, work on it, and from there you're a startup founder. If you listen to our first speaker, she gave us tips on how to start your startup. So you can get somebody from the chat section that has a similar problem in their community, and then you guys can collaborate on something. And I hope that we have good solutions and great, sustainable, applicable solutions come out of here. Up next, we'll be having our question section. Okay, Abdurrahman says some part of Sabon Kwaru in Bauchi State has not been having supply because the transformer is always overloaded. Wow, overloaded distribution networks leading to frequent faults and outages. A lot of challenges, and that's also a lot of opportunities for us. So now we'll be moving to the question section. If you have any questions, please kindly write it in the chat box, or you can raise up your hands and then I would unmute you myself. So if you have any questions for our speakers, just kindly raise up your hands or write them in the chat box and then I'll take them for you. People are dropping solutions in the chat box too, so I hope we're reading through that. All right, we have one hand up from Anene Chuku Diebube. You can unmute yourself and speak, please.
All right, good evening, everyone. So my question goes thus: um, based on what both speakers have said this session, and there's a need for students to learn a lot of skills. Most times, when we look at these skills, it becomes overwhelming. There's just so much to learn, and feels like there's not enough time to learn them. So my question is, I think directed to both of them, maybe, how do they think students should be able to, will I say, figure out how to learn all the skills they have to learn, and maybe if they could also give their story on how they did it. So.
All right, thank you very much for that question, Anini. Engineer, okay, Dr. Azizat, please, would you like to answer that?
Okay, thank you for your question. Sorry, I missed your name while I was trying to write the question. So your question was about, how can students or maybe like fresh graduates thereabouts figure out exactly all the skills they need to learn and how, like maybe like some lessons from how we did it from our end. Okay, let me start with that question of how you learn all the skills. There's nothing like all the skills, right? You just start with something. Basically, you can start with either something that piques your interest or something that, or a sector where you have the opportunity to start working in. Okay, let me use myself as an example. By the time I was writing my bachelor's what's that now, project, I was into GSM networks. I still remember the topic was design considerations for a GSM network. GSM was still quite new. I think it came maybe like in year 2 or year 3. So year 5 there was still, a lot to explore, and I was just so interested in everything. And then I think by the time we took one of our year 5 courses that had to do with electromagnetic waves, I mean, that was just like apart from the lecturer, that course was just like so lovely to handle. So but then after that, where I did my IT was in networking. So I started going the networking routes. But somewhere along the line, okay, by the time I went to serve, I also served within the IT department in an organization. But somewhere along the line, by the time I got a second job, it was in the field of energy efficiency. So I did my master's in power. And after that, let me just say that was my new love. All of a sudden, I didn't remember everything that had to do with networking. I was interested in doing CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, and all the CCCC still forever. And I just fell in love with power, and I've been on that power path. So have I been getting opportunities to improve my skills? Yes, you start somewhere, no matter how small. And then just build on what the opportunities, as Zafirah mentioned, if they're like training opportunities from organizations, that is one avenue where you can build. And then also as the sector evolves, there's also new skills to start learning. Maybe by the time I started in energy efficiency and management, there were issues around like IoT controlling, for instance, like how you want to switch off a light from in your house when you're miles away from your house. Issues like that were not a means of managing energy. But as time goes on, there are always new skills that you need to learn that you can then apply to your basic knowledge about whatever topic that interests you. So opportunities are there at work, outside work, training opportunities like from GIZ or from professional organizations. Some of them are paid and some are unpaid. I think I'll pause here. I'm not sure if Zafirah wants to take this or if you want to take all the questions and then we handle those, we handle all the questions after. So maybe moderator and Zafirah, please let me know how best you want to do this. Thanks.
All right,
I
thank you.
can. Okay, go ahead, Eternal.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. Um, Engineer Zafira, do you have anything to say to answer this question, to add?
Well, yes, I can add, right? I know he talked about, how do you know, which skills they can be, quite overwhelming. But let's look at it like this. Think about your interests and then just dive down that rabbit hole and see what your interests have become, what's the future looking like in your interests, and then how you can just align yourself to those skills that match your interests. Most times, just as Azizat has said, even I myself too, I can tell you, um, why I started to, delve deeper into power, right, instead of my pharmacy previously, was because I found interest, and I found interest in power engineering back when I was in school. For me, electronics was nice, but it just did not make any sense. And then finally I decided to go into power, which like made more sense to me. Not that the course doesn't make sense, but it made more sense to me as I could relate to it. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in knowing where, how the transmission network works, how the distribution network works, what has to do with transformers and everything. And that's what, determined the skills that I wanted to learn to add to that, as well as my interest in, in renewable energy. When I saw that there is a gap there in need within my skills, and people are asking me questions about renewable energy and I couldn't answer, that also prompted me to say, okay, let me go ahead and start to, get more information about it and train myself in that line. So you can start from your interest. I feel like that would be the easiest way.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Zafira. We have two more questions and then close. A question from Rilwan Adamu says, what practical measures can be taken to reduce frequent electrical faults and blackouts in our community caused by poor maintenance of distribution transformers and power lines? I would like Doctor to take that since Engineer Zafirah just finished speaking.
Sorry, I didn't take note of all that. What can be done within there? What? I'm not sure if this is a question or if it's one of the challenges, because it actually sounds like one of the challenges. Doesn't seem to directly tie into the lectures.
All right.
But if you can recap a bit, please give a quick recap.
All right.
Yeah.
Rilwan asked, what practical measures can be taken to reduce frequent electrical faults and blackouts in our community caused by poor maintenance of distribution transformers and power lines?
Okay. Yeah, I think this is to start with. The electricity supply in your community is most likely not managed by, of course, not managed by the residents. It's managed by the technical experts, the engineers who are within that community or who serve maybe like a disco. I'm assuming you're talking about, grid side and not like a solar mini grid or something. So practical measures that will be taken, fine, maybe at the demand end, at the consumer end, if there's some things they can do around reducing the energy consumption, making sure that, for instance, if there's a small factory around, that they are like well metered and not tapping electricity. Some of them are habits around making sure that there isn't energy theft within your community, where some organized, maybe like a small industry, is actually using a lot more power than it's supposed to use within that community. But basically, I think most of the solutions to address faults are technical solutions, not usually handled at the consumer level, but will be handled by the discos, by the engineers who come around and see what the issue is, do some testing, monitor the frequency and voltage fluctuations, find out what's energy consuming, maybe residences or maybe small cottage industries that could be causing like an irregular, what's it called, inflow of students. So yeah, I can also direct you to Engineer Kamilu. I see he has put it up there. So power issues, yeah, I can send that to Engineer Kamil to handle, or maybe if Zafirah also wants to add one or two things. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Azizat. This problem as a result of our poor energy habits. We have developed so much bad that affects our immediate environment. Basically, these companies, they have poor load forecasting methods. You cannot power everywhere when you don't have an idea of the total load that is going to be available in that particular location. And I will appreciate if you can focus our questions on this particular section that is having. Any other question, we can have a private section on power system so that we don't waste a lot of time on this power issue. We know how sensitive these power questions are, and I might organize a power series for us later. But let us focus our questions on this series. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kamilu. Abdul Rahman has his hands hand up. Abdul Rahman Abdul Karim, you can go ahead. All right.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Abdurrahman. My question is, please, can there be a constant awareness on innovation to the today university students like we? Because looking at the university today, even if you have the idea and motives to go out and do something practical, there is no exposure. And since the exposure is not there, we find it very difficult to try out something, because when you go to the university, especially from 200 level to 300 level, most of us only think about passing the courses we are offering. If all this can be brought to the student's idea and get exposed before embarking on industrial training, it will help. At least most will have perfect places in their area of interest to have their IT done, and also how to self-establish themselves and positively to the society.
All right, thank you, Abdul Rahman. I appreciate your question. And I think it's important for us to begin to find a way to upgrade our syllabus. We know some of these courses are already outdated. And if you look at other countries, they have a syllabus that is, in concord with what is happening in the immediate environment or what will happen in the future. So we are looking at all these options. Last year, I was part of a committee that is part of the people that are reviewing the syllabuses of the undergraduate. So we are working to ensure that you are learning the job of the future. In the next semesters, hopefully, it has to go through NUC, it has to go through current, and this is not a day job for you to now upgrade the syllabus alone. So it has a process that we must follow. So the committee is working to ensure that you are being taught the job of the future, and I can assure you that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Engineer Kamilu. Ezra Ali, you can go ahead. And after Ezra Ali, we'll take Aisha to and call it a day. So go ahead, Ezra.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I think I don't need to waste much time here because my lecturer just answered exactly what question I wanted to ask. So, in view of that, I would say thank you, sir, once again for reviewing such a good idea with the university curriculums as well, because this is what exactly we are suffering in the universities. Looking at the past curriculum, a lot of students will not be able to adapt themselves to the current what's happening in the new era. So at least if it can be reviewed, we can't like just focusing on passing the courses and then having the idea and the current innovations and the technology that's going, at least to enhance the students to be able to, develop themselves and then be a better engineers for the future.
All right, thank you very much, Ezra Ali. Aisha too. And this is the last question we'll be taking. We're so sorry, everyone, but well, Aisha too.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Mine is an inquiry. I would like to know whether Engineer Zafirah and Engineer Azizat are currently available for mentorship. And if so, how can we reach out to them? Thank you.
Okay, let me take that, and then maybe Zafira wants to add. Yeah, so, well, I'll say I'm open, but of course we'll just work something out. And then this is also capacity development is an area where the other organization that's delivering this, Thinky, has capacity development for graduates. It's an area that the organization is working on to improve. So maybe through Thinky Hearts as well, we could set up something more structured where Zafira, I, or whoever others can join the Thinky Hearts team, set up a kind of mentorship for graduate students, maybe run a program or something with them for 1 year or thereabouts, and then continue it, get other people on board, get other students on board, get other mentors on board. Yeah, it's something we can explore. But on a one-on-one, yes, I think we can work something out. Zafira?
Yes, I totally agree with what Azizat said. Yes, one-on-one, definitely there is availability, there's possibility for that, and we would have to, discuss further on that. But as Azizat said, Thinky Hats is very strong on capacity development, especially for youths. So it might be, something for discussions between NIEEE and, Thinky Hats, and saying that we could maybe partner to do something in that regards, just like Azizat has mentioned. So that's fine with me. And thank you, Aisha, too, for that inquiry.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Zafira and Dr. Azizat. And thank you, everyone, for your questions and contribution. I believe that these questions have shown us why the collaboration between Thinky Arts and NIEEE is very important. And as Engineer Chima has said in the chat box, we would be doing this over and over again. We have continuous sessions. This is a series, and this is just part one of the series. So before we finally round up, Engineer Kamilu, can you go ahead?
All right, my wonderful and articulate moderator. I really appreciate your effort to ensure that everything is in order. Engineer Chimobi, thank you very much. Dr. Azizat Badegeshi, thank you very much. Engineer Zafirah, I wish I could be speaking like you. Don't worry, I've come for special tutorial. Thank you very much for your time. And to all of our mentors that are online, Dr. Jamu, I can see that you're online. I really appreciate your turning up for this program. And like our moderator have mentioned, it's a series. By the grace of God, by next week, we are going to look at what topic you can bring in again, so that we can make sure that, we begin to put so many things in shape. We have missed so much opportunities when we are undergraduates. And as the world is, moving towards digital age, we felt quickly put a lot of things together. And my Thinking Art family, I really appreciate your efforts. Despite short notice, we're able to put this together. So by the grace of God, we are hoping we will continue, and we need the cooperation of everybody. When we share information about meetings and lists, please kindly, do us a favor by joining. And we have a lot to gain. Engineer Jang, if you are online, please, you can make a comment. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for giving me the floor. It was a quite educative session. I believe it's going to be continuous. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the two presenters. We really appreciate, and then I hope the students have learned so much out of what actually took place today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Jao. Thank you, Engineer Kamilu. Thank you, Engineer Zafira. Thank you, Dr. Azizat. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So, as you can see on the screen, we have how you can contact Tinky Heart, and I've made it easier for you. I've dropped the links in the chat box. You can follow us on LinkedIn, you can follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have other sessions, on our YouTube that you can also watch if you're intrigued by the topic. There will be a replay of this session too on YouTube for your mates that have missed it, or if you feel like you've missed out on something, you can always go back and watch it. I've also added the LinkedIn of Engineer Safira and Dr. Azizat, so you can reach out to them if there's anything important that you want to say. Please follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to YouTube channel. It's going to help you. And another thing is that I know that everyone here has constantly emphasized on how they need opportunities to pitch their solutions. So if you follow these people, you would have these opportunities. They retweet, they repost them, and this is a series, like Engineer Camilo has said. Please do well to stay in reach and join the next series. Engineer Safira, your hand is up. Do you have something to say?
Yes, there was just something that came to my head, and I remembered it because it also happened to me when I was in school. But I wanted to ask, has any of you, all Engineer Kamilu students, have you guys registered with the student chapter of NIEEE? I think NIEEE still does that. There is NSC student chapter, there's NIEEE student chapter, which will give you an opportunity that Azizat has mentioned in her presentation for you to guys to lead or do something in some form of some kind of capacity. I don't know if this is existing or this has been done.
Yeah.
See Camilu's comments. Okay,
Yeah, hello.
okay, that's good. That's good.
Can I comment on that? Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
please go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry, Dr. Lawal, can you just go ahead? I wanted to to answer the question that was just raised from the whether the students are really doing the registration of the student membership of NIE or that of NSC. I believe we have these graduate members of Nigerian Society of Engineers, which actually normally takes place each and every end of the program. By the end of program, when the students are in their final year, that is when we normally encourage them to register as graduate member. I think it started like quite long ago. Engineer Kamilu, can you remember the year it started? I think 3-4 years ago, right?
Yes, about 3 years ago, we came up with
Yeah,
this
yeah.
idea for
So
induction for graduates.
yeah,
And
for graduate.
what we used to do is to make sure that we register our students in block. Instead of allowing them to register one by one, which most of them will not do, we collect their data and information and processes to the NSC headquarters directly from Bauchi to Abuja. So we have been making sure that they are a member immediately they finish their exams. Once they get their statement of results and NYSC call-up letter, we process it to the NYSC headquarters. So we are making sure that they are members. So we are going to continue in that regards to make sure that they are motivated and they can begin to trust to be engineers again, especially the engineers of the future. Thank you very much, Engineer Zafirah.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Zafirah. Thank you, Engineer Kamilu. Just again, I just put the link again because I found that some people could not see it. So the link to follow Thinky Heart and all of our speakers are right there in the chat box. Right, we've come to the end of this session. On behalf of Thinky Arts and the Nigeria Institution of Electrical and Electronics Engineers Bauchi chapter, I want to sincerely thank everyone for being part of this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Azizat. Thank you, Engineer Zafirah. Thank you, Engineer Kamilu. Thank you for your rich insights. And to our audience, thank you for your active participation. It was obvious that you listened and you were very active during the session. Thank you for your questions, your contribution. Thank you for making the session very engaging. This is just the beginning of the series. We encourage that you follow the Thinking Arts page so you can be aware, and I'm sure that Engineer Camille would do well to push out when the next series would take place. So thank you everyone. Remember to start now and to keep gathering those skills. With that, this session comes to a close. We look forward to seeing you in the next series. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Engineer Jang, Engineer Chimaobi, Dr. Azizat, I cannot thank you enough. I really appreciate my powerful moderator. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Yeah, goodbye. Have a nice weekend.